So, we're outside again today. Hopefully I'm holding this camera right. What's the haps? So I went through and harvested some of the sunflower heads. They look pretty much ripe. You know, they droop when they're done. I took the one from in here, the mammoth sunflower, and then also the smaller heads on the smaller sunflower that was in here. So I think I'm gonna eat the one from in here, like eat the seeds. But the ones from outside around the fence line, I'm drying those and I'm gonna use those to plant for next year. So mission accomplished. Grow at least one sunflower head worth of seeds to replant for next year. So there's no way I don't have enough seeds for next year, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure I had to replant some of these holes that I put sunflowers in at least 8 times, and some of them still got eaten or dug up or who knows what. So that worked out well. I planted some of those starts, like the mammoth sunflowers. I want to say it was mid-March, early April or something like that. So it's definitely been a couple months in coming, but I'm excited. It's worked out. I guess I just have to re-look through these vlogs and remember when I guess pretty much from when I plant them. I need to start putting coffee down so that the slugs and squirrels don't dig them up. And from, I'm guessing it was June, start putting cayenne pepper on the leaves so that the deer don't go through and eat them all. I don't know if they'll remember for next year. The new deer next year probably won't know that, you know, the leaves might be spicy if you try to eat them. But I guess that'll just be the process for next year. So, what new happened this week? So suddenly one day I looked outside and I had goldfinches in here. So I ran out with the kitchen towel and kind of waved it around for a while to try to get them to go out. So when I had the door to this garden open, they would just fly past it like an obstacle, so I had to close it and then lift that little piece of bird netting that's above the door, the like, I don't know, 4 inches gap, and then they finally flew out of there. So because of that, the smaller sunflower that's in here, it has black seeds. It might be one of those like black oil sunflowers or something. Some of the heads definitely had a bunch of the seeds gone. So I think the finches flew in because of that and had themselves a little feast while they were stuck. So I wanted to save that one for eating, but I don't think I had too many of them come up outside of this plant cage. So I'll definitely want to plant it next year because the finches seem like they like that one, because I don't see any seeds gone on any of the sunflowers outside of here, so maybe the finches don't like the other ones. From when I was growing up in Vermont, the finches loved the sunflowers, so I don't know. And I haven't had any of the teddy bears open yet, so I'm hoping that I still see one of them. And then if it gets pollinated by some of these other ones, it'll definitely be taller next year, but hopefully it'll have that nice ruffle of petals on it. Or I don't know if they're actually called petals. Sunflowers, because of crime pays but botany doesn't, are in family Asteraceae, where it's some sort of like compound bloom head, and then maybe it's sepals on the outside or something. I'm learning. And then I also found a dragonfly in here the other day. I think it was yesterday. I put my gardening gloves on and picked it up by the tail because it was stuck in that far corner up at the top trying to get out, but it won't fit because, you know, they can't really like fold their wings over. So I got my gardening gloves because it was one of the big juicy ones, and considering they go back all the way to the time of the dinosaurs when they were huge, they're vicious tiny little dinosaurs, so they'll bite, and it kind of hurts when the big ones bite you. So I put on my gardening gloves to pick them off, and then I went outside and threw my hand, but then it didn't come off, and then it finally decided to zoom off, and it took up over the neighbor's house. Like, it just went straight up. I guess it had enough. And then the other thing that happened this week, I'm not mad, but I'm just caught off guard, but it's kind of good, I guess. Despite the fact that it's not 6 months on that septic, the septic company that had done that digging, right, that left the ditch in my yard for like months, said, by the way, your inspector's coming to inspect the system now that it's pouring, right, so that there isn't drainage again, so that they can fail it. So I was all panicking that I'd have to pay that $20K right now, which good luck squeezing $20K out of me, because I don't know where it's going to come from. And then they said, oh, and we have to dig up a part of your yard, so it's going to cost you a couple $100. What? You're telling me that you're extorting a sudden couple $100 out of me? So I was like, no, what are you doing? It's not even 6 months yet. So I guess I argued enough that they went to go call the county inspector who's going to come do the inspection. So that person called me back, so I called them to try to get the story, because, what? So I talked to him, and he only has to dig up the D-box and then see if those headers are draining properly, which they replaced them, so they should be, right? And then I guess he's gonna check some of the drainage in the rest of the field to see how it's draining. And he said, oh, well, it's better timing now than in the spring too, because the ground it's been dry for a while, and now it's had an opportunity to soak up some of the water, and all the plants are growing, so they'll soak up the water really well, and the water will be moving better. And, you know, we just had a rain it was sometime this week, or maybe it was over the weekend, that storm Isaias, and it was only like 2¼ inches here. I know they were forecasting worse, but here we didn't get hit so bad. And the sump pump in my cellar was kind of pumping, but that was it. And there's forecast thunderstorms for the next week again, right? But considering all the thunderstorms keep disappearing, I'm assuming this one's going to disappear too. But even if it does rain on Wednesday, we will have had another week of no rain, so the plants should soak it up, so I should be in a good position for passing. But worst case scenario, if it doesn't pass, I was telling the guy, like, good luck squeezing $20K out of me, right? So he was saying, well, if it doesn't pass, then you have a year to convert over, and you just kind of get your tank pumped in between if it's not working correctly. And there's federal grants for helping people pay for the hookup, because they really want to protect the watershed, because we're part of the Chesapeake watershed here. The septic company said it'd be $200 to $300 to dig up that D-box again, even though they said it would be to dig up the D-box and the tank. But after talking to that inspector, I think they misunderstood it, and it's just the D-box that needs to get dug up a little bit, which good luck with that, because it's grown over with flowers, right? And there's also bunnies living in there, so I guess when they show up, I'm going to tell them, surprise, watch out for the bunnies. Maybe you should look at the plants instead of my face for a while. I have some tomatoes that are almost ready to pick. And the inspector said, oh, you could save yourself a couple $100 and dig it up yourself. And I told him, buddy, my back has been out for the last month. I've had back surgery before. It's not, if I could, I would, but I can't, so I won't. So there's that. I think that's everything. So then any other money that I would have had, because they ripped up the carpet as part of closing, there's that baseboard that's upstairs, and I need to move that bathroom, because the way that they did the walls, and then the vanity, how poorly it's put together, there are probably plumbing problems in the floor, so I necessarily want to rip that up. And because I had those wasps in the plant room, there's definitely some gap somewhere in the house that needs to get closed up. So yeah, renovating and moving a bathroom is kind of a like to have, but considering the surface issues that I'm seeing, like, there's no way there aren't like more comprehensive issues inside. There's my parsnips, there's potato. So one of these potatoes in one of these bags, I found a nice big juicy hornworm in it that was kind of purpley, because these potatoes are purpley, right? So it got nearly completely eaten. I'm sad, but I'm glad that I caught it before it was completely eaten, but it has a little bit of growing back to do. And the potatoes on the other side of the garden, way over there, They're still growing. They haven't died back yet. The red ones have always been stumpy and haven't really ever grown, but like they're still alive, so I'll keep them that way. I think I'm going to use the dirt from that box because it was just a cardboard box and I want to rip it up because it's not going to stay there forever. It's just going to decompose and fill in the hole that I have in the yard from when they were locating the septic system earlier in the year, because having a hole in the yard is a trip hazard, especially when you're me and you don't know where your feet are. So yeah, not really doing too much in here because my back is out again. I have a heat pack on it right now. I did tie up those tomatoes a little bit better because the whole entire thing was leaning because of all the like windstorms, and then it started raining, so the tomatoes were heavy. So it's a little bit of an abomination, but you know, it works. And then I don't know if I told you guys last time, I put the asparagus and the purple bok choy and some posies around. Oh, watermelon, the moon and stars melon, still no female blooms have opened up. There's one female bloom in there under that chair. Hasn't opened up. Hopefully it actually blooms instead of falling off beforehand. You know, I've got 2 months left. Come on, make a fruit, otherwise you grew for no reason. I mean, I guess the leaves are nice, but I'm not growing it as a foliage plant. Get up and show you around, but my back doesn't work too well. Oh, it's a process. So, you know, considering that viewing platform that the neighbors put up that has a straight shot to my garden, and all the noise from construction that everybody's doing, and that inspector wants to come to my yard, I just, despite the fact that I moved out of a shoebox in San Diego to here, it seems like this half an acre is what I want between people and me instead of what I'm living on. And I think I want to be further out in the country. I never want to move again, but you know. More tomatoes over there that I have to pick, but I have to jump over this, and right now jumping isn't really happening. This is my biggest melon. Oops. Let me show you my hand for size, and I have kind of big hands. Look at that thing. Look at it. Oh my god. Oh, it has ribs on it now. So I've never really seen hammy melon picking videos. It's kind of got the lines around the top now, sort of, right? But the stem hasn't separated. So I don't think it's ready for picking yet, but it's so nice and big and juicy. Oh, I gotta pick off all these cucumber beetles. And then there's more of them in there. And then on the other side, there's casabas. This one's a bit smaller than the hammy, but they started up a little bit later. There's the bigger one. Got pumpkins running around all over the place still. And then I think this guy over here is a honeydew. I think this is some sort of honeydew. It's a dual door melon. I don't think it's a casaba. Well, I think I just put my face into a spider web. Nice. There's those potatoes. They look a little bit worse for wear, but they always kind of did. Like, I think that's just some sort of blight. And then the pumpkins are closing in on them, so they're kind of fighting for space. But hopefully that's keeping all the bugs at bay, you know, so they don't find it, because all they smell is pumpkin. Eggplants. I'm still excited. I don't know if I'm actually going to get any fruit out of it this year. I don't know if you can see that one bloom on the eggplant that still hasn't fallen off, so maybe it'll actually turn into an eggplant. Maybe I'll get one eggplant this year. I also harvested a butternut squash. I don't know if you can see the ones that are way over there in the corner, but I have a butternut squash that I'm going to roast this weekend. I've never actually eaten it before, so I'm excited to taste it. I went back and pruned these zucchini leaves, but you can't even tell because they've completely taken over again. I moved the zucchinis off of this bed here so that I could go through and plant. So the onions have room to grow. They finally have light, right? And then I put asparagus in here. This guy right here, this, this guy. That's fennel, Florence fennel resprouting because I'd left the root in. Same with over there by that tomatillo. And I've been going through and hand pollinating these tomatillos because I think the little tiny bees are territorial enough that they're not actually going between these plants. So whatever, I've just been hand pollinating. Now these peppers have more light too. We'll see if I get any fruits out of them. I've got tomatoes over here too that I gotta go through and pick. Some yellow cherries and some yellow pears and some red cherries, and then these bigger red ones are kind of ripening too. I think there's some of those like making paste out of Italian varieties. Yep. I still have that one jalapeno. Oh, and the poblanos are setting. I don't know if you saw that when we were over at the other bed. Let me show you this. So I'm encouraging the strawberries to root all in this stuff because it's breaking down and it's going to be good soil. So this is one of those white ones that I bought, this variety. It's putting out runners, and I think I'm going to train them toward the ground, so I have some of those too. Because I'm not sure how much I trust these strawberries to survive in these containers over the winter time. So it's sort of my insurance policy. So I don't know if you can see that, the bigger tomatoes down there. So they're starting to ripen too. I'm excited. And considering it's not going to rain again, it was supposed to rain for all of this next week. Considering it's not going to rain again, then they might actually ripen and not burst. There's that potato that got eaten. So I guess that was a bit of a longer vlog this week, but I think I had a lot to say. Look at all the blooms. I might try to go through and repollinate this tomatillo today with the other one. Oh, the basils are finally doing good. So I keep pinching off the tops. So the Thai basil tastes the best to me. The Italian one kind of makes me grimace a little bit. I don't know why, but it's not the best flavor. Maybe it's better in like flavoring sauces. So there's that. There's a poblano. There's some more on that one plant over there. I'm excited. Okay, I'll end it here. It's kind of been long enough. Till next time. Bye.